Well, I am taking a break between various sweaty jobs, trying to catch up on a severe backlog of sweaty jobs, and kind of been waiting to see if there would be any news today. Whatever there is coming will likely be on Monday. So I'm going to cover, well, the talk and take a look at the game. Now, in his press conference last night, Neil Brown said, that basically pass coverage was bad, and when it's bad three games in a row, you have to change something. Now, I don't know if he already has in mind what the change is going to be, or if that's part of the current discussion. Well, they can't switch players because, as he said, the players you have are the players you have. So that leaves either changing coaches or changing coaching approach. Now, Jordan Leslie has evidently deleted his social media accounts, and some people take that as a sign that he is leaving, which is not necessarily the case. Could simply be that he's eliminating the distraction. So something is going to happen this week. And of course, just about every fan out there has an opinion that they are convinced is accurate about exactly what should be done. I do not have an opinion. I am fully aware that I do not have enough information to make that decision. I do not have the experience. I do not have the knowledge. I will leave that up to the coaches and Ren Baker. I do believe that we have the talent. And actually, I do believe we have the coaches. There's a disconnect someplace. Hold on just a moment. Bob is disturbed. Okay. He's definitely going to have to be getting more time outside his cage. See if we can get him back to semi-normal. Anyway, there's a disconnect. I think the coaches are good. I think the players are good, but the results are not. And, keep in mind, Beanie Bishop and Malachi Ruffin played very well last year. Is it the loss of Dante Wright? I don't know. But having Cabral, I think we're seeing the benefits last night. So that's paying off. So how do you say that was the wrong choice? And I don't know how much of the problem is the corners, how much is safeties, how much is just, corners and safeties not agreeing on what the coverage is supposed to be. And again, is it something, somehow, the players aren't clicking with this approach, and the coaches have to find a different way to teach it. We have two positives that are coming up as a negative, and I don't know why. Now, if life were math, we'd just say, wait, that's impossible. Two positives cannot make a negative, and look for some other explanation. Maybe that's actually what we do need to do, but something's wrong. Something has to change, and we'll see it from there. Now, talking about the game. Losing sucks. Everybody agrees on that. I don't think we are going to find anybody anywhere who says that losing is better than winning. The way we lost sucks more. And I'm going to cover the negatives first. But the odd thing, again, here if we're looking at the math, strictly in terms of numbers, there are more positives than negatives. There really are. The problem is that the negatives in each negative is bigger than the positives. It's like we're adding, with the positives, we're counting by ones, and the negatives, we're counting by fives. And, well, the result doesn't work. But, negatives, and I'll start with the offense. Negatives weren't numerous on the offense, but it was, an inconsistency. Green, was good and not quite good. Blocking was good and then not good. Missed blocks at bad times. Made a lot of blocks. I need to go back and look at the film when I get a chance. Here we go. On the first play of the last drive, next to last drive, when they were trying to run out the clock, we had that pitch to Donaldson. And again, that was an odd play. And I don't mean odd in terms of, shouldn't have done it, but they weren't just running up the middle. They used a play that Pitt probably wouldn't expect to get to the outside, and it was something I don't think they had run that all night, and it got stuffed. Now, if I couldn't hear the questions on the press conference, but if I understood, from what Coach Brown was saying, there was a key block on that was missed. And hold on, things are definitely getting a little weirder in here with isolating cats in a small room. Did move Reggie back to the carport catio with her family, so we'll see. Now, I said, there was a crackback legal type block that there's no reason to miss it, and it got missed. Need to look at that play, at the block, and he said, basically if that block is made, that play goes for a first down and the entire appearance of the game shifts. So that's a negative, and it's a negative that's hard to explain. Why do players, not succeed at certain times? But honestly, most of the offense was good news. I'll get to that. But there were negatives on the offense, and of course the last two drives were the biggest negatives. Could not run when they had to run. And I still say running was the right call. A running team has to be able to run when the other team knows they are going to run. That's all there is to it. You don't have to get a lot of yards. 3.5 yards is enough per play. But they couldn't do it. They'd been running successfully up the middle most of the night and didn't. And then, of course, the last drive, almost every play, we had an interception on the last play, but all the previous passes could have been intercepted. It didn't look good. And I don't know, when the offense knows there's a problem with the defense, it starts to affect the offense. And I don't know, how that played out. Negatives on special teams, that goes, well, we had a kickoff out of bounds again. Now, people should be happy, 2 kicks, Brown just had him kick it into the end zone and would take the touchback. The one kickoff that was done right was taken out to the 25, so that was basically a wash. Some people don't understand the pooch kick. I don't know why they don't understand it. That's a fairly traditional response to that situation. Coverage and tackling wasn't as good as it should have been. Of course, the biggest negative on special teams was the punt block. And that punt block changed the game. And there's no reason for it. The guy was clearly lined up. There was no confusion about how they were coming, and nobody looked at him. And I know the team is not that badly coached, and I know the players aren't that bad. How do you make a play that bad on such a basic play? I don't know. At the worst of times, the teams have not done that type of thing. Yeah, we had a play by Malachi Ruffin 2 years ago that was, surprisingly blind, but I don't know. Now, defense, the negatives. Defensive backs, pass coverage. Now, there were times that the pass coverage was clearly good because the quarterback was back there and couldn't find anybody. Garnes missed coverage. Hollis missed coverage. Fagan missed coverage. It's not like we have one corner who's missing. I can't tell what times it was a safety who was supposed to come over and help out and didn't. So I don't know what trouble the safeties may have had. Now, we had the tip pass by Wilson that the player caught, and at first the announcers was saying that Wilson, seemed to start celebrating too soon. I don't think that was quite true. I think he relatively quickly realized that the ball was up in the air somewhere, but he couldn't find it. And actually, I don't think it would have mattered if he did, because the ball tipped, in a direction that favored the receiver. It was a decent play and bad luck. And, that part sucks, but that's not a player issue, and it's not a coaching issue. You're just supposed to play well enough that those things don't, end up deciding the game. And I don't know that one did, but they start to add up. But there is something wrong with how the defensive backs overall are playing in the games. I don't know if there was a problem with linebackers getting deep enough, fast enough in this game. Most of the completions were to the outside, I think. Some to the inside, but mostly to the outside. And, of course, Fagan had decent coverage on the one touchdown pass. But how do you not have deep cover on 2nd and 30. And he did not, I didn't even see him reach for the ball to try to knock it loose because they called pass interference. Again, he looked back. Why is it pass interference? I'm not sure. Now, the other negative on defense, and I talked about this last night, early and late in the game, the defense did not get containment on the quarterback. And why is that happening? They got decent pressure most of the time. Sometimes it was a little late, but they got decent pressure. And then, third quarter and the first 2/3 of the fourth quarter, they got fantastic pressure and containment. It was great to see. And TJ Jackson was all we could hope for. He was impressive. Ty French made some big plays. Bradley made some big plays. But they did not maintain containment late. How much of that was, players performing? How much of it was defensive calls? I don't know. But either way, it's a problem. And they have to consistently play the way they did when they were at their best. Now, positives. Start with special teams. Of course, special teams, they didn't have a lot to do. Made field goal. And Oliver Straw made the right read and decision on running on 4th down. That was nice. He seemed to be completely shocked, but it's also good to know that he evidently is. I don't think that was a called play, but I think he has the option to do that when he sees, that sort of result. The offense, we ran up the middle very well. And I wasn't sure we'd be able to do that at any time this season. Yates has lateral movement, but could he block well enough to, Yates and, Hammond are that's not right. I'm drawing a blank, but Hubbard, they're question marks. Nick Malone was actually the highest rated offensive lineman, followed by Wyatt Milam. But now we didn't run that well on the edge. The announcers kept complaining that you shouldn't run Donaldson wide, but Donaldson is fast. He gets to the edge more than well enough to run him outside. We weren't getting good enough blocks out there. White was in the game a fair amount. He ran early, not so much late. I don't know if it was because of the fumble or some other problem. And I think, so I'm not going to say, should he have run more? Donaldson was doing well. It didn't seem like we necessarily had to have White. So offense ran well, ran up the middle well. Green's short game was pretty good. He was erratic, actually on more of the longer passes, but the biggest thing on offense really was penalties. Same on defense to some degree. How many of the penalties really should have been called, I don't know. Coach Brown says he's watched the holding call against Milam that cost a touchdown, and that it's within the rules to do it the way he did it. Yeah, he had a grip on the jersey, but it was towards the inside. It wasn't to the outside. And that is considered legal as far as I know. There, yeah, so, but again, you need to be able to overcome those things. Defensive, the positives are there. I mean, again, we didn't get containment as much as we should, but man, we got pressure all over the quarterback. Missed several sacks. I mean, I think missed at least 2 sacks that should have been made, maybe 3. Some of that credit the quarterback. He steps at the right time. He's big and hard to bring down. But some of it was just bad angles and, not finishing a play. But, man, the pressure was there. It was there from various players, and especially Jackson. Stuffed the run over and over again. And I'll come okay, had, 2nd and 17 or something like that, and gave him 16 yards. All right, that shouldn't happen. But that was followed by stuffing 2 plays, including, and it may have been Jackson, getting a play, the next run, they needed half a yard and they dropped the guy for like a 2-yard loss. That's a positive. Every time Pitt tried to run some kind of trickery, a flea flicker, a reverse, some other cute, kind of plays, tackle for loss. The defensive line and, Lathan especially, of the linebackers, they were moving fast. They were hitting, and they were getting there, and they were making the plays. Didn't hear as much about Trotter as we did Lathan. Carrico didn't play much. He went out, and I don't know if he came back. I didn't think he was badly injured, but maybe he was. And, of course, that does hurt when you get to late in the game. I don't know how much difference that made. Cutter didn't play much because he was playing badly when he played. So we were playing mostly with, actually, I don't think Beiser played at all. I'm not sure. But the front 7, we were hearing, Bradley, Burks, we were hearing their names called on good plays. If we can make the defensive backs 50% better, we don't have to completely fix the problem. If we can just clear things up a little bit, and in some respects I think we did at points, but there were just still too many breakdowns. But just a small fix on the defensive backs, and we win games. We would have won that game. So, I mean, there are positives all over the place. What is needed, I mean, it's not that big a shift, and yet why it doesn't happen is the question. I don't know the answer. You don't know the answer, unless perhaps one of the coaches is watching. They might know the answer at this point. Although even if you know the answer, making the answer work can be tricky. So I believe in the team. I believe in the coaches. I've said that time and again. I don't know where the disconnect is, and that bugs me. I don't like not knowing. I believe they will make changes. I hope the changes work. We're now at the point where there's this whole psychological game. The team, will the team, coalesce? Will they come together, or will they fracture? I mean, that's you can't blame them if they fracture, because it's hard not to. But if they pull together and find a little bit of a fix, things still work. Now, at this point, they have to run the table to get to the 10 wins that I thought were likely this season. That's going to be tough, but it's still not impossible. I'm still, I think 9 wins is a definite possibility, not counting any bowl game or championship game. I think he can still get to the conference championship. But I don't know what's going to happen on Monday. I don't know, maybe it's happened while I was recording this. Maybe it won't take until Monday, but I just don't expect them to do things on a Sunday or announce them on a Sunday. Anyway, that's my take. I think the players are good, and I think the coaches are good, and what's happening doesn't make sense. So I'm going to have to leave it to the coaches to figure it out. And Coach Brown has made it clear that something's going to happen. Now we wait. Well, thanks for hanging with me. Please, share, subscribe, make comments, tell your friends, click the thumbs up, notification bell, and all those things. And I got to go back to my sweaty jobs and working with cats in between. So long.